Hello folks, welcome to Burn Lore Stadium. We got some lacrosse action coming your way tonight. Should be a real fun one under the lights with Wittenberg going up against your hosting Capital University. Crusaders currently 5-1 on the campaign in the middle of a 4-game win streak. Their last loss was suffered to a different North Athletic Conference foe in the form of the Kenyon Lords back on February 24th, and they haven't lost since. Wittenberg, a really talented team coming in here at 2-2. They've played in really high-scoring games to this point. They've lost 13-12 as well as 16-10, while winning games 14-10 and 13-10. They also faced off with Otterbein from just across the 270 here in the Columbus area, and they lost that game 13-12 in the opener against Otterbein. So obviously, if they're hanging in there with Otterbein, this is going to be a real good team coming into play here, and it should be a fun test for the Crusaders as we're getting closer and closer to the start of conference play here in a couple weeks. I believe it's the first week of April that OAC play will get underway, and we'll talk more about that throughout the broadcast, as well as a little bit more on the preview of this game. But we're going to sidetrack as we usually do and jump around the world of Capital Athletics. Let's go and talk about some basketball, actually. I know basketball season is pretty much over as far as the Crusaders are concerned, but senior guard Mark Minch was named a third-team Great Lakes All-Regions nominee by D3Hoops.com on Monday. Of course, Crusaders, Mark Minch led the team in points per game, field goals, points, rebounds, and his 566 points fell just 10 points shy of the school record of 576 set during the 1993-1994 campaign. That includes a 38-point night against Mount Union. Mark Minch eclipsed 20 points in 19 games, and he scored over 30 on 4 different occasions as well. Earlier this month, he was named All-OAC first teamer. So congrats to Mark Minch. As far as women's basketball is concerned, if you're in the Bexley area, there's going to be some good games here this week, and actually the semifinals of the national tournament here at the D3 level for women's is being hosted by Capital University. Dixie Jeffers involved in that, of course, and getting the set up here early. I think they're doing some run-throughs down earlier today and getting ready for this weekend, where it's going to be a nice, fun game on Saturday, March 19th. It'll be first Wartburg College, from Iowa against Tufts University from Massachusetts, and then Amherst College coming in with just one loss on the season, facing off with the defending national champion and still unbeaten Thomas More College out of Kentucky. So that's going to be a really good game. 2 Massachusetts teams as well in the Final Four, and the winners will square off in Indianapolis, I believe, on April 4th. So that should be a real fun game. A fun set of games, actually, on Saturday. So if you're in the area, I would definitely recommend coming out to campus and checking those games out. Now, the box office here at the Capitol Center will be open Friday from 9 to 5, and it will open again on Saturday at 9 a.m., and tickets will be sold up until game time, obviously, on game day. So, again, come out to the Capitol Center and enjoy some of those women's basketball, some of the best women's basketball that it has to offer. Our Crusader of the Week went to Kara Hines, the sophomore midfielder, continuing to dominate for the women's lacrosse team. She led the Crusaders to an 18-11 victory over Calvin College. Hines had 8 goals on 10 shots and had 10 draw controls during the game as well. So almost single-handedly outscoring Calvin, who was dealt their first loss of the season in that defeat. So not even a cupcake opponent there. The Lady Crusaders are rolling on the lacrosse side of things. And also a congratulations to Capital Fogo here on the men's side, Christian Crossingham, who was named OAC Player of the Week. Crossingham, again, that Fogo position, if you're unfamiliar with that, it means face off and get off. So as opposed to the face off man just staying on the field to play defense or whatnot, a Fogo stays out or gets the face off and then leaves the field right away his main job is just win faceoffs, and that's exactly what he did on Saturday. So congratulations to Mr. Crossingham, and hopefully he can stay hot in that faceoff circle today. They're going to need it against a really good team here in Wittenberg. Wittenberg on the season, 49% from the faceoff circle. Capitals at 57%. And Crossingham, again, went 7 for 15 on the draw, added a ground ball pickup against College of Worcester. But then the real one was on that Saturday against the Presidents from Washington and Jefferson, when he collected 16 faceoff wins in 24 chances and had 6 ground balls in that win. So finished the week with a 59% faceoff percentage. It could be a real difference in this game. Let's go to our pregame interview now with Coach Billy Owen. I caught up with him down there on the field just before the game, and we talked a little bit about Saturday. We talked a little bit about Brent Walton, who kind of had his first real breakout performance, I'd say, on Saturday. And then we talked about this Wittenberg game from last year and what can change from this year to give the Crusaders that victory. Interview coming your way.
Looking at the game, I think we came a little flat into that first part of it. I'm glad we kind of shook off the cobwebs without me calling a timeout and being able to kind of self-correct yourself, which in years past might not have happened, but with the junior we have now, they were able to kind of pull themselves out of the funk.
We've been putting a spotlight here on certain players over the last few interviews. One of them, Crossingham, just won a Player of the Week award himself, so congrats to him. But did want to talk today about Brent Walton. He had a pretty monster game on Saturday. Him and OC seem to be on that same page right now. How can you as a coach help those two? Jim, today about
defense a little bit, where they're able to kind of make plays, and they're smart players, so it's not like they're forcing it to each other, but they are starting in year 2 of playing together to kind of read each other's minds a little bit, and I think that's helping us as a program.
Can you talk a little bit about Brent's energy behind the scenes? He's obviously very vocal on the field. He's gotten a couple penalties because of it. He's got that trademark celebration of his. He added a dab to it on Saturday. It's clear that the team kind of feeds off of that. What's he like in practice and in the locker room?
You know, Brent is a leader. He's that rare leader that he shows his leadership through his actions, but at the same time, he's the emotional center for this team. And there's times before games where he'll talk to the team, fire them up, and I can just focus on doing the X's and O's and making sure schematically we're ready to go. So he's been a godsend for the program. I give a lot of credit to the football staff in terms of helping him kind of grow as a leader, and he's really blossomed in that role this year for us.
Wittenberg's been in some high-scoring games this year, Coach. All of their games had both teams involved reaching double-digit goals. How do you kind of slow that tempo down, turn it into that kind of ugly, grinded-out game that you guys would prefer?
You know, we just can't, get into the track meet. We can't just try to transition everywhere. Obviously, we got to clamp down a couple of the big players on the offensive end. And we got to take good shots, and I think that's something we've done better this year in terms of knowing what our range is. We don't have a 15-yard bomb squad bombing away like we did last year. I think we're doing a better job this year knowing our limits and working towards our strengths.
You kind of segue perfectly for me about the chemistry of their offense. We talked a little bit about Brent and OC. On the other side, they got twin brothers, the Fuss brothers, really tearing it up this year. Each of them have 10 goals, and Thomas are their top 2 leading scorers in terms of goals and assists as well. They had 5 goals and 6 assists last year against you guys. You guys as a team scored just 4. How do you slow these guys down?
They've been playing together since they started playing lacrosse. And honestly, we got to have our 2 cover guys go out there, Tate Stover and Ryan Maloney, and really try to be physical with them. They're well-rounded. They're 2 of the better attackmen and probably the best attack duo that we will see this year. So we just got to make sure we're ready to go to them and communicate, make sure we're aware of whatever one's carrying the ball, whatever one's off ball, because we know they're looking for each other.
Obviously, the game's at home this year. What else is different? What leads to the Capital win here today?
I think a little bit of better job in face-offs, and then obviously be a little bit more disciplined in the penalty game. If we're good on special teams, if we can get some EMO goals and obviously not give them opportunities on the man up, I think we have an opportunity to pull one out today.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck today.
All right, appreciate it.
And again, our thanks to Coach Owen for hooking us up with that pregame interview, letting us in his mind a little bit before today's big matchup. We're going to cut down to our PA mic now for our national anthem and our starting lineups. Take it away, Ryan.
Program today free of charge in the hanging bins located in front of the stadium entrance. Inside you'll find information on both teams, including rosters, season statistics, and links to live stats of today's action. If you are in Capitol for the first time, restroom facilities are located inside of the Capitol Center off of the main lobby. Before we introduce today's starting lineups, will you please join us in honoring America and those who defend her. Please rise, and gentlemen, remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem. And now let's meet today's starters, beginning with the visiting Tigers of Wittenberg University. In goal, number 30, Nick Gregory. On the attack, number 1, Andrew Fuss. On defense, number 7, Ryan Parmater. With a long stick in the middle, number 10, David Strong. In the middle, number 11, Will Stocker. On defense, number 18, Matthew Cleaver. On the attack, number 22, Thomas Fuss. At middle, number 23, Brent Whitehead. And in the middle, number 26, Alex Dankowski. Wittenberg is led by head coach Jay Owen and is assisted by Jordan Schober. And now the starting lineup for your 2016 Capital University Crusaders. In goal, the sophomore from Delaware, number 15, Cole Palmby. With the long stick, a sophomore from Auburn Township, number 4, Nick Bonsignore. On defense, a sophomore from Columbus, number 6, Ryan Maloney. In the middle, a junior from Massillon, number 8, Danny Davide. Sophomore mini from Waukee, Iowa, number 10, Ted Kreitz. On the attack, a sophomore from Westchester, number 20, Brennan O'Callahan. On defense, number 23, Tate Stover. In the middle, a freshman from Sandpoint, Idaho, number 42, Christian Crossingham. On defense, a sophomore from Columbus, number 77, Dylan Bishop. And on the attack, a junior from Pickerington, number 99, Brent Walton.
And thanks again to our PA man, Ryan Gosser, also the Sports Information Director here at Capital University. I'm Jimmy Bloomfield, bringing you the action here today. Again, the Crusaders taking on the Tigers. Capital 5-1, Wittenberg 2-2. And our first face-off of the game, about to get to it. Crossingham coming off an OAC Player of the Week award for his effort in the face-off circle. And the first one here is flung away by Crossingham. and then Bonsignori got his hand in there, or got a stick in there and shot it away. And now it looks like Wittenberg will get to keep possession here because, no, they're going to give it to the Capital. They were just trying to slow them down a little bit. So good defense there by, I believe it was number 6, Ryan Maloney, who knocked the stick out of the Wittenberg player's hand. Davide picks it up, gets the draws the foul, and Capital goes to work first here tonight. As daylight saving time was Saturday, this is the first Wednesday after that. Normally it'd be kind of dark here in the Columbus area. Sun would be already set, but it is still setting here, so the lights will probably kick on and be a factor in the second half, I would imagine. Capital looking for the first shot of the game. It looks like Nick Hess ripped that one wide. Now 4 Crusaders have registered at least a goal and an assist in each of the first 4 games. Hess is one of them, and the 3 attackers in Kreitz, SC, and Walton, the other 3. The only 2 players to score a goal in every game for the Crusaders this season so far, of course, O'Callahan and Walton, who have been on the same page pretty much the last couple of games. But really on Saturday, that was the vintage from last season. Walton and OC on the same page with each other, scoring 4 goals each. Nice moves by Carson Paul here. He gets right on in front. A flag comes flying into the air. Another quick shot from OC ripped wide. Good job behind the net there by Kreitz to find OC. And Carson Paul draws the foul. So now Capital will go on to the man-up opportunity immediately. And we'll see what the call is in the official. Looks like it's going to be a 30-second penalty. So Rampy came out with the man-up unit. It looks like John Allen's also out there kind of playing at the top of the umbrella there, in front of net, actually. OC's at the top of the umbrella. So they're bringing in Allen to give him some net presence out in front. Rampy brings it into play, throws it over to Kreitz. They work it to OC. Capital really spreading things out, keeping all the action in front of the net. OC passes over to Rampy. Rampy back to Walton. Quick find to his left. And Allen will send it around now. Rampy, who's really coming on strong here the last few games. Back to Kreitz. Kreitz finds Walton. Walton quickly the other way to Allen. Continuing the rotation now. Rampy rips it through. The man-up unit scores for the Crusaders. And just like that, it's 1-0. The Crusaders now 10 for 33 on man-up opportunities this season. And that is an area that Wittenberg has really struggled in, defending while a man down. Opponents against Wittenberg this season are 11 for 26 entering today, so make it 12 for 27. Over 40% against them on the year. And that's an area they need to clean up. They need to also draw more penalties themselves. Opponents have just 8 penalties in 4 games against them. They've had just 3 goals on those 8 opportunities while a man up. So special teams, as Coach Owen mentioned, would be a big factor in today's game. And after a slashing penalty from Sean Kelleher, Capital strikes first with Ryan Rampy's goal. For Rampy, it's his 7th of the season. And the Crusaders up 1-0, waiting our face-off. So it looks like the Capital women's lacrosse team is in attendance here. They were wrapping up practice a few hours ago. Capital wins another face-off. And that's the difference Crossingham can make. Look at Davide in the open space, just blowing by Tiger defenders. Drops it off for OC, and now Davide will get off the field. Hess and Mundell already out there. Carson Paul will be the last to cross as usual. And he receives the pass from Mundell. Paul over to Kreitz. Capital really spreading things out. Usually you'll see this kind of passing around rotation, but not so far away from the cage. Paul, as they come back towards the cage. Good find from Walton. OC just missed. Had a lot of open space there in that cage. Threw it over the back of the cage. 4 shots in the day now, make it 5 for the Crusaders. Wittenberg still at 0. Walton working behind the net. Passes it over. And they'll continue to work it around now. And again, they're starting to spread things out again. And usually you'll see these passes with the players closer to the cage, but Capital clearly wanting to spread it out. and use their athleticism. Loose ball was recovered there by Hess. And there's a penalty, not a penalty, but a foul to keep it in Capitals' possession here. 3 minutes have gone off the clock in the first quarter. The Crusaders lead 1-0. I'm Jimmy Bloomfield. Thanks for joining us here from Burnlore Stadium. If you want to interact with the broadcast, feel free to shoot me a tweet on Twitter at _J Bloomfield. And we can read some of those across the air if you guys send some in for me. Working around the net, O'Callahan, and target finder seems to be a little bit off right now. That one went out of bounds on the sideline. Kreitz brings it back into play for the Crusaders. Capital spending pretty much all the offensive time here in the Wittenberg zone. Wittenberg yet to get an offensive opportunity themselves. Hess gets shoved as he shoots, and a late flag here from midfield. And a very easy call from my vantage point up here in the press box. They're going to bring Rampy back in on this unit for Carson Paul. Nick Hess doing a nice job today of blowing by his defender, getting to that front of the cage, and getting a whistle. Lots of contact on that shot, and I think this is the right call. So we're back into play now. Walton thought about taking a quick shot. They're going to work it around in the circle now. Kreitz, as they spin it back the other way, back to Kreitz from Rampy. Rampy now moving in front of the net. OC works it over. Now they're starting to get a little more cluttered around the net. Walton tried to feed it to Rampy, and that's going to be a turnover there. And the push on Connor McDunn was only a 30-second penalty, so he'll likely be able to just come back in here in a couple of seconds. Clock is back in motion now. 10:40 left in this one. Wittenberg did most of their substitutions already in the midfield. And they'll try to walk it across for the clear. They got some space here on the near sideline. They find their man. This is Sean Kelleher. In the midfield, joining him is Austin Brady and Michael Carluccio, freshman. Andrew Fuss and Thomas Fuss, the two to look out for. Number 1 and number 22 each have 10 goals this season. They scored 9 in this matchup last year. Kelleher throwing it down. Actually, Carluccio throwing it down. This is to Anthony Becker, another senior. And the Fuss brothers are twins, actually, Andrew and Thomas, from New Albany here in the Columbus area. A shot that looked like Palmby got a piece of, but I think went wide off the shot from Brady. Wittenberg will bring it back into play. 7-1 in terms of the shots advantage now for the Crusaders in the game's first 5 minutes. They lead by just 1, though, and Wittenberg can tie it up this possession. And they do just that right on cue. And it is who else but Thomas Fuss. Fuss receiving the pass from Sean Kelleher. And just like that, Wittenberg ties it back up. For Fuss, it's going to be his 11th goal of the season. Tops on the team. He trails only his brother Andrew in points. Andrew has 10 goals and 9 assists. So we're tied up at 1, and just like that, the first 5 minutes wiped off the record virtually. Crossingham back to work in the face-off circle against Brent Whitehead. Whitehead 49 for 89 on the season himself, so he's a pretty formidable challenge. But the Crusaders win another one. And they'll scramble to get their subs back out there in the offensive unit. Brent Whitehead, that 49 for 89 is 54%. Crossingham on the season is at 64%. So two real good challenges. They got a 55% and a 64% going up at each other. Obviously the team's percentages are lower because sometimes in the blowouts they'll bring in some other players to get some work in the face-off circle. This is Simmons out there for the first time for the Crusaders. Pass to OC from Walton, might have forced it a little bit. It's still down on the ground. Crusaders had it momentarily. It was Fuller, and somehow taken away without that stick, or without the ball hitting the ground. Long stick midi there. David Strom starting to rush the other way. Wittenberg looking to strike quickly, and they do. A nice move from TJ Smith in the midfield. And the Tigers are up 2-1. You heard Coach say he didn't want to get into a track meet, but the Tigers turned it into one there. And they get the first lead of the day now, the 8:36 mark of the first quarter. So we'll do battle again. Whitehead versus Crossingham in the face-off circle. And looks like a false start on Whitehead there. He got going a little bit too quickly, and the Crusaders win another face-off for free. The Crusaders will work to get their correct unit out there again. Looks like they're going back to that first unit on the midfield with Paul out there with Mundell and Hess. Crusaders had a lot of success moving from behind the net in their win on Saturday. Let's see if they go back to that offensive attack. Paul tried to get over to Mundell. Sloppy pass. OC picks it up. OC moving through the zone. They go behind the net to Walton. Walton right back to OC. OC out in front to Mundell, and that's an easy find for Brendan O'Callahan. And Mundell buries it in the back of the cage. And the Crusaders strike right back. Knew it would be an entertaining game here today, and it has not disappointed so far. For OC, it's his 8th assist. For Mundell, it's goal number 3 on the season. He scored some real big goals for this team last year, and I don't think he's done by any stretch of the imagination. Now going back to last game against the Crusaders, Wittenberg had 4 goals from Thomas Fuss and 2 assists. Andrew Fuss had a goal and 4 assists. So anything to keep those two from getting going. We saw Fuss score, obviously. For the Crusaders, however, against Wittenberg last year, Brent Walton had 3 goals, and the rest of the team had just 1. And now the team's got 3 without Walton even involved. Ted Kreitz finds the back of the cage. And the Crusaders are rolling. 2 quick goals to get the lead right back. Kreitz is now a point in every Crusader game this season. O'Callahan gets his 2nd assist after being shut out in terms of goals and assists last year against Wittenberg. This ain't your same Crusaders team from this last matchup, and Wittenberg is finding that out right now. The 2015 OAC champs have themselves a 3-2 lead. We'll take a break on the Capital Sports Network. Welcome back to Burn Lore Stadium. Got some Twitter interaction from Jeff out there. Wanted me to throw a couple of references out there. I'll see if I can work them in here, Jeff, over the rest of this game. As we're about midway through the first quarter, the Crusaders lead 3-2 after 2 quick goals, 1 from Mundell, 1 from Kreitz. Unfortunately, on that face-off, the Tigers are able to just win the free draw. It's their first face-off win. Working it around behind the net. The ball was down on the ground, and the Crusaders come away with it. It's Palmby on the second turnover. Wittenberg, to correct myself, now 2 for 6 on the faceoffs. The Crusaders will relax and get Paul back out there with Mundell and Hess, it looks like. Hess gets the pass. He plays it down to Kreitz. Kreitz behind the net. Over to OC. He's got 2 assists today. Walton. Quiet start to the day for Brent, but he's been heavily involved in the offense. Hess trying to bury his way towards the cage again. Working it around. Walton. Over to Paul. 2 quick jab steps. Comes back this way now to Hess. Got a screen and he scores. Top shelf. Beautiful screen. I believe it was Jonathan Mundell who set that thing up. And Hess buries it. Fuller gets the assist, but the assist should really go to the man who set that screen, Jonathan Mundell, just opening Hess up. It looks like Fuller was actually the man credited with the goal, so I do need to correct myself. Crossingham will take the face-off. It's 4-2 Crusaders, and we'll see who ends up with the credit for that goal. I believe it was Nick Hess from my vantage point. Looks like the second unit midfield was getting ready to come out there, but they're waiting for some clearances now. And the pass goes to number 22 here. And Crusaders going across. This is Connor Simon. Simon has Simmons behind him, as well as Barrett Nagel, a unit we've seen a little bit on Saturday. 6:16 to go in the quarter. The Crusaders have scored the game's last 3 goals. Crossingham working it around. Simmons back to Nagel now. Nagel's got some speed here. Behind the net, OC out in front. Kreitz, a jump shot. And it might have got deflected behind the cage there. OC closest to it. He'll bring it into play for the Crusaders. 5:50 to go in the quarter. O'Callahan around the cage. That shot, Wolf short. Walton able to scoop it. Goes for a deep pass to Nagel. Went over his stick. Oh, that's got to be a foul here at midfield. I didn't know they'd say it's not a foul. Looks like instead good defense there from Jordan Crawford, who kind of hooked sticks there. Open shot attempt now, and they beat Palmby with the goal from Zach Shy. I think something at midfield should have been called there with the stick getting tangled up. But the Tigers take advantage, credit them for playing hard still. And the Crusaders were still scrambling there to get back. Palmby almost made a nice save, but was kind of hung out to dry there by his defense. And the Tigers score to make it 4-3. We'll wait for the next face-off now. Crusaders still out in front. This is going to be a real fun one if it continues at this pace. We've seen some really good goals at this point. And I think the intensity will start to ramp up as this game gets closer. Davide going straight to the front of the cage. Pops it over to O'Callahan. Davide staying in there momentarily, and now he'll come out. Walton working almost as a midfielder here. Over to Hess. Paul's got some space, and they get it to him. Paul works it behind to Kreitz now. Kreitz behind the goal to OC. Hess back to Carson Paul now. Paul makes 2 men miss, then falls down. Passed it off to Walton. Walton's pass gets knocked down. And the Tigers will take over again. Another turnover for the Crusaders. 4:35 to go in the first quarter. At the start of the second quarter, we'll take a look around the Ohio Athletic Conference. So stay tuned for that update. As of last check on Saturday, Baldwin Wallace was unbeaten, the only unbeaten in the OAC, and we'll see if that's still the case. Talk about where the Crusaders stack up. Team projected to finish second in the conference, just behind Otterbein. Wittenberg back to work offensively. Looks like they've got their A unit out there in the midfield as well. And a goal that's going to tie us up from Austin Brady, the 6'2 junior from Pickerington. A little bit of homecoming for him. And we've got a tie game, 4-4 with under 4 to go in the first quarter. And I don't think the Crusaders want to play a game that could get into the high teens, low 20s, but that's what we're on pace for right now. The Crusaders love grinding those games out, turning it kind of more of an ugly game. But we've had a very aesthetically pleasing game to this point with some nice goals. Brady gets the goal there for the Tigers, and they're showing their versatility offensively. They've got a couple different guys that can score here. Shai just scored his 3rd goal of the season. And for Brady, that's going to be his 10th. A much more prolific scorer than Shai. TJ Smith scored his 7th earlier as well for the Tigers. Yet to have either team have a guy with 2 goals, as the scoring is being spread out between both teams across all positions right now. Tigers are going to go back to work here after they win the face-off. They're 3 for 9 on the face-off, but they have taken advantage of the ones they have won. That shot misdirected. Might have hit the crossbar. Down on the sideline there. Crusaders are going to get possession. Good work there in the midfield by James Wegmiller, and he'll hustle off the field. Mundell's calling for a pass right now. Deep clearance from Stover finds its way to Nick Hess. Hess sends it behind the net. Callahan now working it around. Walton's got some space. Played over to Hess, and Hess will slow things down again. And again, this kind of goes back to that whole pace of the game and trying to slow this thing down. 2:39 to go in the first quarter. 4-4 game. Stop and go move from Paul over to Mundell. Mundell to Kreitz. Kreitz tried a low scoop shot there, and O'Callahan's closest to it. Make that Walton behind the net. 2:25 to go. Walton right on in front OC, and he doesn't miss that often. That thing hit off of the post. O'Callahan runs it down. And when he misses a shot like that, you know he's going to be hungry for another. Beautiful find from Walton. Walton looked to set a screen. O'Callahan goes right to the goal again, and it got deflected wide off of the keep. Wittenberg will take over. Nick Gregory, the goalkeeper today for the Tigers, has allowed 38 goals this season, 11.47 goals against average, 58 saves on the year. And I mentioned Wittenberg has played some high-quality opponents, and they've played in some big, high-scoring games, and that's why you see the crooked numbers there. Palmby, on the other hand, 7.05 goals against average, and he has 50 saves on the season, including a game this season in which he set a school record for one game. Palmby was named Defensive Player of the Week that week. Behind the cage, and what a shot on the wraparound there. And that draws some oohs and ahs from the crowd, as it should. Sean Kelleher with a beauty right there. And with just under a minute and a half to go in the first quarter, Wittenberg has a 5-4 edge. While we have a moment back on Twitter, want to give a shout out to Sandy Johnson watching from Minnesota. She says, go Cap. .121 to go. Crossingham back to work in the face-off circle. See what they can do. Crossingham has had great success here. And Crossingham squirts one loose. Vaughn Signori slashes at it. And I think that's going to win the Crusaders possession. It will. Great work by Nick Bonsignori there. And the Crusaders will go to work offensively with their second midfield unit of Simmons and Nagel and Simon. Looking for an equalizer here as the first quarter draws to a close. Working in around. Nagel comes to the top here. This is where this unit likes to attack, with Nagel at the top of the screen. O'Callaghan, long pass. Looks like Allen getting some momentum going. Nagel now with under 30 to go. He's got a little bit of a run, but he's run behind the cage now. Nagel staying with it, looking for a wraparound. What an effort! Barrett Nagel, the freshman from Champion, Pennsylvania. Started all the way at the 35-yard line, was pushed behind the cage, and instead of passing it off, he stuck with it and battles his way for the goal. And that's why we see him out there on the unit, if you were wondering. Nice moves from Nagel. So we're all tied up now as Nagel gets the goal. Nagel listed all the way at the bottom of the stat sheet. He's going to be moving up now with his first career goal. And the Crusaders equalize this thing. It's 5-5, and we're not done yet. Still 12 seconds to go in the quarter, and Wittenberg looking for a quick strike. It's Fuss with it. Andrew Fuss. Still with it, sends a pass to his brother, right back, and Stover gets in the way. The horn will sound, and the Crusaders, with a late goal in the first quarter, tie this thing up at 5 apiece. Capital 5, Wittenberg 5, a very fun first quarter. Let's hope the second quarter is just as entertaining. We'll take a short break and be back on the Capital Sports Network.
Fans, you can follow all the action of any of your Crusader Athletic teams by liking our Facebook page, facebook.com/Capital University Athletics. We'll have the latest stories, photos, and videos from all 20 of our varsity teams. Get on Facebook and find us at Capital University Athletics. Capital would also like to thank the following sponsors for the support of Crusader Athletics: Labels, the Capital Fund, the Capital University ROTC, the Courtyard Marriott at the Columbus Airport, Doe's Greenhouse, Donato's Pizza, and the J Company. Thank you all for your continued support of Crusader Athletics.
Welcome back to Bernlohr Stadium. It's 5-5 after one quarter of play. Thanks for joining in on the broadcast here today. We've had a couple people tweet at me at _J Bloomfield if you'd like to get a shout out. Stacy Johnson, Shelby Johnson, a former soccer player here at Capital. Sandy Johnson was saying that she's streaming from Minnesota. I can only assume that would be the mother of TJ Johnson, the freshman from Champlain, Minnesota. So, yeah, love to get some interaction from you fans out there. 5-5 with 15 fresh minutes set on the clock. And a good battle here to start us off in the face-off circle. Wittenberg wins it. They will now be going left to right as we switch sides here. Wittenberg in the red, Capital in their home grays. And we'll see if Wittenberg can retake the lead. We had a couple of lead changes there in the first. In all, 16 shots for the Crusaders. Just 7 for Wittenberg, but they buried 5 of their 7. 9 ground balls for the Crusaders, 5 for Wittenberg. Both teams perfect on their clearances. 2 penalties for Wittenberg, none for the Crusaders. Crusaders did score on a man up. And 4 turnovers for Cap compared to just 2 for Wittenberg. 4 goal scorers for each side. I make that 5 for each side, excuse me. We'll get to those after this offensive sequence. I might have some time to actually read them off. So for Wittenberg, we have Thomas Fuss, Austin Brady, TJ Smith, Sean Kelleher, and Zach Shy, each with the goal. For Capital, Kreitz, Fuller, Mundell, Ramsey, and number 50, Barrett Nagel. 13:45 left to go. And it looks like Palmby smothers it. It's right outside the crease right now, and the official telling them that it is in the crease. Oh, it looks like, actually, looks like it was a line infraction as Bishop stepped into the crease, which allows Wittenberg to keep it. That's a big mistake. $13:20, and that's going to be a goal for Austin Brady, who scores his second of the night. And the Crusaders trail once again, 6-5 now. Tigers out in front. I promised we would go over the OAC standings in men's lacrosse. Now, I do preface this by saying that conference play doesn't begin for 2 weeks, so I don't read too much merit into teams' records at this point because some teams play much tougher schedules than others. But as it stands right now, Baldwin Wallace still the only unbeaten team in the OAC at 4-0. Capitals 5-1, Mount Union 3-1, and Ohio Northern in their first year in their program with a 3-1 mark themselves. John Carroll at 3-2, Wilmington 2-2. Otterbein 2-3, and Muskingum is 1-2. So the Crusaders, one of just 3 teams with 1 loss, and then of course Baldwin Wallace still unbeaten. A full slate of games today, 5 to be exact in the OAC. Wilmington losing big right now to Trine, 15-3. John Carroll got a win earlier today against St. Vincent. They won 16-7. Baldwin Wallace just began action against Oberlin, a good little test for them. That's a game the Crusaders have won already this season by a count 11-8 on the road. Baldwin Wallace gets to play him at home, so we'll see maybe a little bit of a barometer there between the 2 teams. And then Mount Union hosts Olivet. That game just got underway itself. Wittenberg still with it here. We might see the shot clock come on for the first time today with the amount of time this possession has taken. 12:15 to go. And Wittenberg looking like they're going to catch their breath a little bit. Fuss taking his time behind the net. This is Thomas Fuss. Out in front. He got knocked down by Palmby. Loose ball. Player shoving. And it looks like the Crusaders have it. Palmby was able to come away with it in that scrum. And after 3 minutes of play here in the first half, or second quarter, I should say, the Crusaders still trail by 1. They're really struggling to get it out of the zone right now. Palmby is called for a penalty, and he has to just give the ball up and leave the cage open. And then Danny Davide comes out of nowhere and takes the ball away. And Palmby had 3 players trying to get that ball from him. He heard the whistle and just dropped the ball and then sprinted towards the cage. He was a good 15 yards away, and Wittenberg had a real opportunity, but they took their time with it. And then Davide comes from behind and gets the steal, and the Crusaders take over like they should have anyway. 11:13 to go in the quarter, and they are looking for the tie. Paul over to Hess. Hess back down to Walton now. Walton over to Carson Paul. Paul over to Hess. Hess to Mundell. Paul's got some good space, and he rips it over the head of Gregory. Walton will bring it back into play. Walton did damage here on Saturday against Wash and Jeff. Much better defended here. O'Callahan turned back again by Gregory, and that's 2 high-quality chances that O'Callahan has not converted. And you know he's hungry for his first, a team that shut him out last year as well. O'Callahan had 64 goals last season, and he was held to 0 against Wittenberg last year. Maloney with it now, goes cross field to Stover. Stover right back to Palmby. Bishop cutting towards the sideline. And Mundell does a nice job of coming back to this side of the field as Stover ran it across the field. Oh, Paul gets shoved from behind, and that's going to be an easy foul. No flag was thrown. Probably should have been a penalty. Crusaders will battle on anyway. Now a flag thrown, so the Crusaders will get their man-up opportunity anyway. Kreitz has it. Defended tightly by number 26 there, Alex Dankowski. They come around to this side of the screen now. Mundell over to O'Callahan, setting up Kreitz. Walton's got some space here out in front of the net if they try to go that way. And instead they try to pass it around a little bit more. Paul, right back. Hess, Kreitz with a couple of players calling for it. Take it behind the cage. And Kreitz will cradle in his right hand over to O'Callahan. Works it around to Mundell. Mundell swinging it towards Hess now. Hess still fighting with it. Back to Mundell. Mundell, a low shot. And the net was moved as players collided behind the net, so that shot wouldn't have counted anyway. They're going to enforce the flag now. I believe holding was the call. So at 9:01, the pace has slowed down a little bit. We had 5 goals from each side in the first quarter. We've had just 1 here through 6 minutes. Shot that went wide. Wittenberg trying to win the foot race to it, and they do. And a big squandered opportunity from the Crusaders. Wittenberg trying to get it across midfield. They are perfect on their clearances at last check. They're going to be 6 for 6 now. A shot that's going to go high. Blistered off the stick of Kelleher, who's really good today. Kelleher with a goal and an assist so far. 8:24 to go now. And Wittenberg continuing to go to work. Wittenberg now playing Capitals game, kind of just slowing things down and waiting for everything to develop. Oh, what a nice move from Brady, who's on fire right now. That's 3 for Brady. He just slowly and methodically took his time and then ended up looping around in a big circle and shooting it over his left shoulder for an easy Wittenberg goal. They have a 2-goal lead at 7-5 now. That's actually the first time today that we've had a goal for Wittenberg, that is, with their largest lead of 2 goals. The Crusaders had a 2-goal lead themselves at 4-2. We haven't had a larger margin than that yet. So Wittenberg will try to shoot for that the next time they have a chance to score. It's been a pretty tight contest throughout, though. Face off, crossing him, easily wins this one. That's actually Trefethern in there. And Trefethern passes it off quickly. He's staying out there right now, and now he'll come off for Paul. Meanwhile, Capital turns it over behind the goal. O'Callahan, rough start for him today, and it's continued to this point. And now Crusaders down a man as well, as we add insult to injury with Maloney taking a knee out in front of us. Down there by the scorer's table. So Wittenberg, who has not had many opportunities on the man up, has a chance here after the slashing from Maloney. Palmy makes the save on that shot from Fuss. Entering today, Wittenberg just 3 for 8 on man-up opportunities, which is a fantastic percentage. Maloney almost runs out on the field too early, and Fuss scores. Andrew Fuss will help that percentage out even more on the man-up goal there. Again, 37% is phenomenal for a man-up opportunity, and they just haven't had many chances. And that Wittenberg sideline is getting jacked up right now. They have the largest lead of the night for either team. They lead 8-5 with 7:07 left to go. And Crusaders need to get something going here before this thing gets away from them. Crossingham back in there this time after Trefethern won that faceoff. For Andrew Fuss, by the way, it's goal number 11 on the season. Anthony Becker got the assist on that last goal. And Wittenberg keeps possession here after winning another faceoff. Whitehead wins it. The ground ball picked up by Stalker, and back to work goes Wittenberg. Nothing Capital can really do right now. Offensively, they've got to get the ball before they can score, obviously. 6:30 left to go. Lots of slashing here from Stover, as well as Maloney behind the net. Wittenberg works it around now. Davide staying with his man. A shot off the stick of Palmy. Great defense from Davide defending TJ Smith there. .6:10 left to go in the quarter. Wittenberg has scored 3 in the frame. The Crusaders have 0. That shot hits off the side of the goal. Smith picks it right back up and goes back to work behind the cage. 3 defenders. Somehow that shot still made it through to Palmy from Zach Shy. And Wittenberg keeps possession again off of the miss. Wraparound shot that goes off the stick of Palmy again. Smith and Shy relentless right now for Wittenberg. Palmy starting to get some saves here. 5:30 left to go, and the Crusaders defense has to be a little worn out at this point. Smith past Davide, tried to roll one towards the goal, and it goes wide. Palmy was in good position anyway. If you're keeping up with the live stats in conjunction with the broadcast like I am, you're seeing a lot of red right there in the recent history. Shot by Wittenberg, shot by Wittenberg, shot by Wittenberg, as they've now leveled the shots at 19 apiece. Behind the net it goes again. Nice stop and go move. Palmy makes the save. Stover skips it up off the miss there from Joseph Crawford, That one goes out of bounds though again. Maloney trying to say he saved it. And a timeout call by Wittenberg at 4:44 to go in the second quarter. Wittenberg with all the momentum right now. They lead 8-5. The Crusaders yet to score in the second quarter. We'll turn things around when we get back on the Capital Sports Network.
Fans, follow all of the action of your Crusader athletic teams on Twitter. Follow us at Cap Crusaders. Of course, Twitter is a free service, but make sure that you search us out at Cap Crusaders. And online and give us a follow. We'll provide you in-game updates for home contest photos, links to latest headlines, and so much more. And while you're at it, follow the Capital University men's lacrosse team at Capital U MLAX. That's at Capital U MLAX. Follow us all on Twitter.
Welcome back to Burnmore Stadium. 4:44 to go. Wittenberg has dominated this second quarter. They have all 3 goals scored in the quarter. In terms of shots, they've outshot Capital 13-3 after being outshot 16-7 in the first. And they now lead 20-19 overall on shots. Ground ball pickups have been even in the quarter. Capital still holds a 15-10 edge there. That shot goes in. Unbelievable. Palmby had no idea that that thing snuck by him. And it was Sean Kelleher, who I've mentioned is having a fantastic night. It continues with the goal there. So Kelleher now with 2 goals and an assist. His teammate Brady has a hat trick already. And all this talk about the Fuss brothers. The Fuss brothers right now with 2 goals. The rest of the team with 7 goals. Now again, last year the Fuss brothers combined for 5 goals, 6 assists. Wittenberg will go back to work again after the face-off. And the Crusaders have to find a way to just get control of the ball right now. As Wittenberg just continuing to pile on their lead because they're spending all of the time in this quarter in the offensive zone. Wittenberg taking their time again as they'll try to grind through this defense, which is undoubtedly tired. Davide hits the deck. Nice pass from Smith. Smith threw it over to Fuss, and Fuss couldn't make the shot. Palmy with the save. His brother picks it back up, gives it right back to Fuss. Another shot whistled wide. This one from Kelleher. And the clock showing all threes. 3-3-3 left to go until halftime. Quick 10-minute halftime period. And we'll be back with the broadcast after that. We'll have your full halftime stats available right before the start of half number 2. We'll do a quick little wrap-up. Keep you up to date with the latest stats here. Not too many positive ones to report for the Crusaders, considering they haven't had the ball much. Bonsignori pokes it loose, and he's the one that scoops it up. And now Bonsignori looking for something to do with it, and a big-time hit. Draws a huge flag as Bonsignori got knocked out by Austin Brady. Good night. He's going to get a big flag for that one. And the Crusaders seem to be a little bit fired up by that one. Bonsignori taking a seat here. He's just fine. But I think didn't want to take that hit, obviously. His teammates said, we got your back. I would expect another hit coming. Maybe from Brent Walton. That's not a guy you want to make mad. The all-time leading rusher for the football program here at Capital. Knows how to lay a few hits himself. Walton receives the pass from Kreitz. Capital scored once on the man up to start us off on the day, and they'll try to do so again. Walton over to Mundell. Mundell out in front. Hess, his shot got knocked down. 2 Wittenberg players collide, and Walton gets the loose ball. Walton fakes a pass, Works it behind the net. OC to Mundell. Did that go in? It hits the side of the net, actually. Walton's shot. That one's going to count. What did I tell you? Brett Walton, not the man you want to make angry, and you know he's going to take that hit on Bonsignori personally. He scores. And the Crusaders claw back. It's now 9-6. Good work by that unit, resilient. They had a couple of missed shots, a couple of loose balls that they picked back up. The shot from Mundell went off the side of the net. The team keeps their composure. They find Walton, and he finds the back of the cage and is now the only Crusader to score in every game this season. Still waiting for OC to join him as he's been shut out here today. Another faceoff won by Wittenberg, meanwhile. And after the OAC Player of the Week, Crossingham had a huge game on Saturday in the faceoff circle. Not doing so well today, as Wittenberg now holds that advantage in the faceoff circle after the hot start. At one point, I believe it was 6-2 in favor of Crusaders on the faceoffs. Now it's 9-8 in favor of Wittenberg. It's 9-6. Under 2 to go in the quarter. Loose ball on the turf. Bustle run down with no one guarding him. Swinging it around. Good moves. Cradling and losing the ball now. It's down there on the ground. Davide had it momentarily. Palmy might have it now. He does. Good work again from the Crusaders defense. Starting to pick it up a little bit again. Maloney with it. Ripping a pass that goes down on the ground. Mundell had momentarily. And maybe too aggressive of a pass. Mundell wins the ground ball pickup momentarily, and then he loses it back to Wittenberg. So back and forth. Dankowski comes away with it. Now whistles blowing and a timeout called by the Tigers. With 1:02 left to go, it's 9-6. Crusaders hanging in it. We'll be back. .102 left to go. Wittenberg, fresh out of a timeout. They will try to get their 4-goal lead back. The Crusaders will look to just keep this thing tied. Or keep this thing right where it is, I should say. 58 seconds left to go. And Wittenberg's starting to run a little bit of clock here before they go to work. Fuss now. Spinning to his right, passing it down. Palmby makes the save, goes out of bounds. That shot whistled off the stick of Zach Shy, who's starting to have more of an impact in this game. 40 seconds left to go. Shy has scored already here today. We'll have a full list of your scores and full stats again right before the start of our second half. 30 seconds left to go. This is Shy again. Not shy with that shot. Shoots it wide. Pardon my pun there. And they're going to have to put a couple of seconds on the clock, I think. Yep, 23 seconds will be placed on the clock now. So it was a little bit late. Maloney steps in front of the pass. It's down on the ground, 15 seconds left. Davide scoops it up. Now he can fly, passes it around. Stover with a deep pass. Bishop working it now, 4 seconds left. Kreitz has to shoot. He passes it behind the net to Walton. Walton runs out of time. And that's how the first half comes to a close. So the Crusaders did do their job there last minute. They kept it at that 3-goal deficit. Plenty of time left in this one. Got to address the face-off issues, I think, there in that second quarter. And we'll be right back to where we were in that first quarter with scoring a bunch of goals. Only got one there in the second after getting 5 in the first. Again, we'll have a full recap of the stats for you coming up in about 10 minutes. Stay with us on the Capital Sports Network.
How tall is the grass in Germany? How tall is the grass in this house?
And welcome back to Bernlohr Stadium. You might have just heard there on the PA a goal change, as it looks like Aaron Blasi is going to take over in net for Gregory, who had a pretty good first half, allowed just 6 goals, but Wittenberg's making a change. Wittenberg winning the first face-off here, and they will go to work offensively now, picking right back up where they left off. at the end of that second quarter. In terms of the stats from the first quarter, Wittenberg with 25 shots, 4 saves from their goalkeeper, Gregory, 14 ground balls, 10 face-off wins, 7 for 7 clearances, 4 penalties, and 8 turnovers. For the Crusaders, they were outshot. They had just 21 shots after having 16 in the first quarter. Winning the ground balls, though, 20-14. 4 saves as well from Palmby, and just 3 for 7 on their clearances as they turned it over 9 times. Wittenberg taking their time, operating here early in this second half. They lead 9-6 out in front. Palmby makes a great save, denying Fuss. And a Wittenberg player loses the ball down on the ground. Bonsignori has it. Now he's running for his life. Sends it blindly towards Stover, and it works out for him. Stover looking for help, and he's just going to run it all the way across midfield now. Stover across the 30. He's going to rip one. And a nice save made by Blossy, who again is fresh into the game. Wittenberg turning into a track meet. They have numbers. Fuss gets laid out. Big time hit from Maloney. And it's a clean hit, and the Crusaders are going to get possession. Big time hit from Maloney. And hopefully that gets the Crusaders going a little bit now. 13-15 to go. Mundell with it now. Mundell, nifty spin move. Sends it around now. Down on the ground, and Walton can't handle it. Picked up, going the other way for Wittenberg now. This is number 7, Ryan Parmenter. Parmenter trying to start off the offense. Still working on a clearance. They get it over to Brady now, who had 3 goals in that first half. And Wittenberg will wait for their subs now. Fuss scored. That's Andrew Fuss scoring 1. Thomas Fuss had the other. Brady with 3. TJ Smith with 1. Sean Kelleher had 2 and an assist. And Zach Shy scored as well. Anthony Becker added an assist. And that's your scoring for the Tigers. For the Crusaders, 1 from Ed Kreitz. Callahan, no goals but 2 assists on his 7 shots. 1 goal for Walton, 1 for Fuller, 1 for Mundell, 1 for Rampy, and 1 for Josh Collier. And a goal scored here again by Wittenberg. Fuss gets his second. Kelleher gets his second assist. Capital finds themselves now in a 10-6 hole. For Thomas Fuss, it's going to be goal number 12 on the season. Now tops for the Tigers. Crossing him to do battle with Whitehead again. And the ball looks like it's loose there. Picked up by the Crusaders. And then the Tigers get it. And now a violation is going to give it back to the Crusaders. Davide will bring it into play. $11:52 left to go. And this is a big opportunity for Capital right now. They need to score here. O'Callahan working it around. This is Walton now. That got tipped. That's going to stay with the Crusaders. Good call by the officials. And Hess wasting no time getting the offense going again. Paul had a little opening. Dished it off to Walton. Walton's pass. That thing got tipped again, I believe. And that's the indication there on the far sideline. The Crusaders will stick with it again. 11:20 to go in the quarter. Paul. Maybe an errant pass. Kreitz goes and helps him out. OC whipping it around. Capital starting to spread things out again. Walton with 4 men colliding on him. Got it to O'Callahan. O'Callahan looking for help. He loses it now. It's down on the ground. Parmenter knocks it away again. And a third time. And O'Callahan still staying with it, scooping it out. He's facing a double team. Someone's open right now. There's the open man. It's Nick Hess. Hess makes a few men miss. Gets tackled as he takes his shot. A late flag, and the Crusaders will have a man-up opportunity. Good work again by Hess, and he's drawn another penalty. Rampy will come back in. They're going to call a push. So this should be a pretty quick penalty. Should be of the 30-second variety. .10:42 to go. Walton back to Kreitz. Kreitz, left-handed shot, no good. Goes wide. Rampy was behind the goal, and he will be the one to bring it back into play. Rampy swinging it around, top of the formation. Walton back to Kreitz, behind the net to Rampy. Penalty is over, and now Wittenberg struggling to find their men, and Capital takes advantage. Jonathan Mundell, the little man, with another snipe, and that's his second of the day.
Capital goal scored by number 37, Jonathan Mundell. The assist to number 44, Ryan
Rampy doing the job today on the man up. He scored already. Now he has 2 assists. Ryan Rampy is becoming a real player for this Capital squad. 10-7 now. Crusaders making things a little bit more interesting. Crossingham trying to win that faceoff. He pushed it behind him, and he's got to get some help from behind him. Trefether couldn't get to it. And Davide will run back out and replace Crossingham, who's upset with himself right now behind that Capital bench. Coaching staff still has their faith in him, I would say. It's a tough battle. Whitehead's a good player himself in that face-off circle, and it's a real good matchup for Crossingham. Maybe the toughest he's gone up against this season. Wittenberg leads by just 3. Crusaders have plenty of time to come back in this thing. But if Wittenberg continues to kill clock and score and then win a face-off afterwards, that's not the recipe to come back for the Crusaders. Sloppy passing, and Wittenberg looking to tighten things up a little bit. Smith coming back this way, working around to that side of the field now. And that's a bad pass over the head of his intended target. Fuss can't reach it. Brady with the turnover. And the Crusaders now take advantage. Bishop going wide side to Tate Stover. Stover surveying his options. Trefethern to Mundell, who went down to a knee to make that catch. He does, though. Fakes a pass. Takes his time. He has Carson Paul coming on behind him. And a simple pass to Paul. Maybe a little bit too nonchalant there. Paul's got a nice running start now. He's across the 25. He's inside in front of the cage. Carson Paul, you got to check him earlier than that. 10-8. Carson Paul comes onto the field, gets an easy pass from Mundell, and the defender sticks with Mundell. No one picks up Paul, who gets a good 10 yards of steam ahead of him. Walks out in front of the cage, and not standing a chance was the keep from Wittenberg there. Aaron Blossy. And Crusaders now within just 2. Slowly they're making their way back. And this is vintage Capital Crusaders from last year. Tight games. Grinding out goals late in games. Coming back from behind. Or keeping a tight lead. That's where this team really excels when it's a 2-goal game. They'll bring out the lumber. Wittenberg trying to strike quickly. And that was a shot whistled high. by Alex Dankowski. 8:20 left to go. Wittenberg will probably slow things down now and go back to their normal operations offensively. Couple of fake passes, and they send it behind the net after looking like they were going to reset everything. Wittenberg keeping the pressure on right now. Pass over to the near side here. Jeff Sherman out there. Couple of fresh faces for the Tigers. Sherman on his left stick, and he beats Palmy. Had to stick to the left side of him on that shot is what I was trying to articulate. And Sherman comes through with the goal. For Sherman, it's his third of the season in 4 games played now. He's missed one of their first 4 games. And it's now 11-8. Wittenberg back out in front by 3. And another face-off won by Whitehead. Moving quickly, Wittenberg on the attack. This is Fuss. Fuss behind, and Wittenberg pulls back a little bit here. I think they should have kept the pressure on, but they'll wait for their subs and reset everything. 7:30 left to go, exactly midway through the third. Wittenberg 11, Capital 8. We're all level here in the third. Each team has 2 goals. Sherman again, same kind of shot. Palmy was there for it this time. Hit him right in the chest. And he wears one for the Crusaders. Maloney will bring it across and rip one up over across the 30-yard line. O'Callahan dished off to Kreitz. Kreitz to Mundell. Here comes Paul on this sideline. And again, there's no one checking him. Hess back to Rampy. Rampy in there for Walton right now. With 2 assists, you got to find a way to get him out there. Paul has another chance. Paul right out in front of the cage, and it's popped up in the air by Blossy. And the Crusaders, with a dangerous stick, will turn it over. Errant pass out of the stick towards the keep. Blossy finds it. He's got help on the near side. Calling for it is Carluccio, and he's not able to handle it. And Mundell waiting for the ready to go, and he brings it into play. 6:15 to go in the quarter. Jonathan Mundell with it. Mundell behind the net. O'Callahan swinging it around. Nick Hess scores. Did that go in? No, it actually did not go in. It hit off the side of the net there. Hess draws 2 flags again. Hess gets buried again. And there's 2 more flags. There's 4 flags on the field, all courtesy of Nick Hess and his toughness. And the Crusaders, I think, are going to be 2 men up here. Looks like he did score, but it was off the side of the netting, so that's why the net moved. And 2 Tigers come to the sideline. So we get a 1-minute penalty for cross check on Ryan Parmatter, and TJ Smith takes a 30-second pushing penalty. So they'll have 6-on-4 here in the offensive zone for a minute, or excuse me, for 30 seconds, and then after 30 seconds, they'll still have a man up for another 30 seconds. So huge opportunity to get at least 1 here. .540 to go. And the Crusaders go to work. 6-on-4. Hess back to O'Callahan. O'Callahan whistles a tight pass through, and Brent Walton finishes it off. And it's 11-9. Crusaders right back within 2. Wipe out both the penalties. And another man-up goal for the Crusaders. Walton with his second of the day, his 14th of the season. And another pivotal face-off coming now at the 5:36 mark of the third quarter. Crusaders need to start winning more of these. It's now a 13-9, make it 14-9 advantage for the Tigers as Whitehead gets the quick face-off win, and with it, kind of silences the crowd. A really good crowd here. Under the lights at Burnlore Stadium. And we'll wait for the Tigers to set some things up here. This is Shy with it. Shy to the front of the cage, works around the crease, passes it right back to where he came from. 3 players behind the net for the Tigers as they're a little bit unorganized right now. Capitals defense doing a good job. Setting up a play now behind the net. This is Smith. Smith finds a teammate. Palby knocks it off his stick out of bounds. Joseph Crawford with that rip. And the Crusaders defense continuing to hang tough here. This is actually the first ever night game for the Crusaders under the lights for the lacrosse program. The soccer teams had quite a few games under the lights as Palby smothers a shot, rebounded, and takes possession himself. Now runs behind the net for his own life, finds Davide, and that's a good man to find because this man has got some wheels. Danny Davide passing it forward now to Ted Kreitz. Kreitz will bring it behind the net, cradling his right hand. He stops it short, passes it off, and a wild pass that will be run down by number 22 there for the Crusaders. That is Simon, I believe. Connor Simon it is. 3:40 left to go. Simmons back to Collier wearing that number 50 jersey. I said it was Barrett Nagel earlier, but it's actually Josh Collier. So I had a roster that was a little bit outdated. Collier scored a beautiful goal earlier in this game. Simon working back to his left side, has Collier behind him. Collier switching his jersey number from 21 very late. Works it back over now to Simon. Simon at 6'4", has got a lot of size on him. Back to the Loveland native Collier. Collier dancing around. A lazy pass that gets knocked down on its way towards Walton. And now a turnover again for the Crusaders. For the Crusaders, that is their 13th turnover. Just under 3 minutes left to go in the quarter now. Wittenberg back to work. It is 11-9. Can the Crusaders hang on? It's played back to Austin Brady, who has 3 goals, most of any player in this game. Usually you'll see a lacrosse game where you see a breakout for 4 or 5, maybe 6 goals from someone. But we've kept it relatively diverse in our scoring. Lots of different players getting in on the action. Davide brings it across for the Crusaders after a big turnover from Wittenberg. Mundell wants it. He's at the 40-yard line. 38 to be exact, and here he is passing off to Nick Hess now. Hess has Paul behind him. Kreitz goes to work. A fresh midfield as they weren't even out here on the field last offensive sequence. O'Callahan, and again he's stopped. O'Callahan still shut out on the scoreboard here today. Last year's leading scorer, this year's leading scorer, had 64 goals last season. This season he's on 24 goals in 6 games, which is just 4 a game, which for him is pretty low average. Sorry, OC, when you have such a good freshman year, the standards are a little bit higher. Pass went to, looks like Thomas Fuss, and his shot either was deflected or his stick after the shot hit a player from Capital. Looked like Trefethen got involved and altered that shot greatly. So now the Crusaders will have to kill off his last minute. Fuss quickly silences that, and Thomas Fuss has himself a hat trick. Joining Austin Brady, Fuss with 7 shots, 3 goals in this game. And Wittenberg's back up 12-9. Capital, if they can just give themselves some chances on these face-offs, they would be in this game even more so than they are right now. But Wittenberg is just spending so much time in the offensive zone the last 2 quarters here that they're really playing themselves out of this game by not giving themselves enough chances. The turnovers as well hurting. 56 seconds left to go in the quarter before we have one more stanza to close this thing out tonight. Crusaders trying to win their first time in school history here under the lights. That's because their record's 0-0. 53 seconds left to go. And another win on the faceoff. 15 of 24. And you heard Coach, I always ask him why they're going to win. I don't say what are your keys to the game. I just tell them straight up how are we going to win this game, because that's the kind of coach that Coach Owen is. He expects to win. Sets a high level of expectations for his guys. But I said, what's different this year than last year? And he said, we got better faceoffs this year. He's very confident in their faceoff crew, but they haven't done the job today. 15 for 24. Wittenberg has won 15. And Crossingham and the Capital Crusaders have won just 9. Trefethen was the one who won one of them as well. We'll see if they go back to that trade-off to Feth. Crusaders with 5 seconds left trying to get something going the other way. They lose the possession, 2 seconds left, and that's the horn. 12-9. Crusaders got some work to do in quarter number 4. Let's see if they can complete the comeback. Stay with us.
At the end of 3 quarters, the score is Wittenberg University 12, Capital University 9. Jimmy John's is all about fresh food made fast. The bread is served freshly baked, and the meats and veggies are sliced in-house every day. You can order online. Just go to jimmyjohns.com and click order and eat. Fast, fresh, and tasty, Jimmy John's is serious about sandwich delivery, and they'll deliver just 1 sandwich. One, that is the minimum order if you order online at jimmyjohns.com.
Welcome back. 4th quarter action coming, and not a surprise, at least in my mind, to see Michael Trefethen in the face-off circle. Crossingham not taking the draw here to start us off in the 4th quarter, as the face-offs are a real concern right now for the Crusaders. They've got to win some of these, especially trailing by 3. 15 minutes separate us from the finish line. Let's see what the Crusaders can do here. Whitehead versus Trefethen to start us off in quarter number 4. Trefethen won the first face-off between these two, and he wins it here again with some help from, looks like, Bonsignori. It wasn't pretty, but the Crusaders have possession, and that's all that counts. Crusaders going to work. Walton with Paul, Mundell, Kreit, Hess, and Brendan O'Callahan, who's still yet to score in this game. And if OC can get hot, look out. O'Callahan has it. He does have 2 assists today. Expect to see some Ryan Rampy here in the fourth quarter as well. He's had a nice day. Hess scores. Back of the cage. Just like that. Crusaders right back in this thing. They just got to get the possession. Wittenberg not strong defensively. And the Crusaders score into the double figures. For Wittenberg now, they've had 5 games this season, and every game has seen both teams involved in double figures. Wittenberg is just 3 goals shy of their season high. They won a game 14-10 earlier. I guess it's a small sample size, but when they score 12 goals or less this season, they're actually 0-2, and when they score 13 or more, they're 2-0. So 13's been a bit of a magic number, and that's how bad the defense has been this season for Wittenberg. And I don't think 13's going to be enough here today. We'll see. It's going to come down to the face-offs, which, by the way, Capital just won another. Behind the net with it is Nick Hess. Make that Ted Kreitz. Kreitz looking for Hess, who was calling for it. Kreitz still battling. Now gives it off to Mundell. Capital trails by just 2, and if they can strike here, we've got plenty of ball game left to make this thing interesting. Walton behind the net, setting things up. The running back goes to work, draws a triple team, gets it over to Kreitz. Wittenberg's defense resetting. Kreitz weaving his way through, and his shot didn't make it to the cage. Good defense there from the Tigers, colliding on Kreitz. And now back to work. Go the Tigers if they can get this clear. So far, they are 11 for 12 on their clearances, make it 12 for 13. 35 shots for Wittenberg. Capital with 30 shots at this point. They had 16 in the first quarter, so they've had just 14 since then. Still winning the ground balls 26-23, but the faceoffs are in favor of Wittenberg, 15-11 now. Capital has won the last 2 there. Cap just 9 for 14 on their clearances. 15 turnovers as well. Been a little bit sloppy here today, and Coach Olin, I'm sure, has plenty for them to go over. But if you assess the damage right now, you have 12 and a half minutes, and you're down by just 2 goals. Plenty of time to get things back and right the ship. 12:25 to go. Wittenberg just takes a shot that goes wide. They'll go back to work again. Palmby's really tightened up in goal after allowing 5 in the first quarter. Has allowed just 7 since. And he's faced an onslaught of shots, and that one is Fuss again. And someone has got to mark him. That is just too easy of a shot. And I was just giving Palmby credit. But I'm certainly not going to blame him for that one. Wittenberg punching Capital right back in the mouth. And it's 13-10. You've got to give them some credit. Capital has scored a couple of goals, has gotten some momentum going, and Wittenberg just responds with Fuss, of all people, again, with the goal. Gets the assist from Zach Shy with the assist. For Fuss, I believe he has scored the last 2 goals now for the Crusaders, or for the Tigers, make that. And that is correct. Sherman had the 11th goal, and then Fuss has scored the last 2 to give him 4 for the game. And Wittenberg gets to go back to work again after winning the faceoff. So all that momentum built up. They were down by 2 and in the attacking zone. Now they find themselves down by 3, defending an attack from the Tigers. And the script can just flip just like that so quickly. 11:30 left to go, and Wittenberg can take their time a little bit here, but I think they're still focused on going back to work and adding some goals here. Not comfortable with that 3-goal lead. This will help. A flag goes up in the air, and the Crusaders will be a man down now. We'll await the call. It should be just 30 seconds. Yep, it's going to be on Trefethern for a push. 30-second penalty coming. So if they can withstand a quick push from the Tigers, they'll be just fine here. The Tigers entered today 3 for 8 on the man-up opportunities. This is just the second penalty for the Crusaders. And last time Wittenberg scored. So they're now 4 for 9 on the season. A ridiculous 44% in that category. Fuss sending it around. Right back to Fuss. Fuss to Allen, who just buries that thing. Make that Sean Kelleher, who's got himself a hat trick now as well. Kelleher with 3, Fuss with 4, Brady with 3, and Wittenberg starting to have a couple players emerge right now. It's also the 5th points of the day for Kelleher. 7 shots, 3 goals, 2 assists to give him 5 points. And Wittenberg has matched their largest lead now, 14-10, and it's turning into that high-scoring affair that the Crusaders definitely wanted to avoid. Another face-off won by Whitehead, but an infraction called, and the Crusaders will get it now. Danny Needham pushing the pace to Kreitz. Out comes Simon to help out. Simmons out as well. And lastly, Collier. Simmons has Collier behind him. Goes that direction. And a chance for the Crusaders to get back in this thing. A quick goal and a face-off win. And we're pretty much right back where we started a minute ago. Collier gets decked right out in front of the goal. Crusaders keep possession. Walton cradling. Passes over to Simon. Simon stops in his tracks. Comes back this side. Shot. Low shot. And it's scooped up by the new goalkeeper. Again, who has played just half this game, and that's Aaron Blossy. He's played only 20 minutes of this game. He allowed 4 goals so far. 6 allowed by the first keeper, Nick Gregory. 9:54 to go, and the Crusaders starting to get to that time where it's time to get a little bit more anxious. Got to average a goal every 2 minutes at this point to have a tie. Palmby gets a big-time save there. It's all about quick strikes now and make this thing a little bit closer at the end. 4-goal game, anything can happen, but you're running out of time at 9:25. Hess, understanding that, pushing the pace here. He goes towards Walton. Walton calling out directions, and he gives it over to Carson Paul now. Paul brings it to the middle of the field where they'll go to work, opening this thing up. OC. Back to Walton. Walton. Hess. And around Carson Paul now. Paul using that speed. Dishes it to Kreitz. Didn't make it through. That's a very tight space to be making that kind of a pass. And an easy clear for Wittenberg. No numbers. 5-on-5 the other way. And now 6-on-5. Crusaders going to work defensively. Mundell getting off and Trefethern getting on in his place. 8:25 to go. A screen. Player tripped up. Trefethern not called for anything, nor should he been. That ball goes towards the sideline, and Trefethern will scoop it up for the Crusaders and bring it back into play with 8:12 to go. Time to go to work again. Mundell's open in the middle of the field. Hess is open down on this side of the field. Bishop drops the pass. It's still up in the air. Bishop can't get to it. Now he does. Bishop up the sideline. Passes it forward now to Nick Hess. And here comes Nick Hess barreling down towards the goal. And we'll slow things down again. Paul's calling for it. He's wide open here. Still calling for it, and now he's marked. Missed an opportunity there. Hess now back to Paul. And they're continuing to work it around. In front, Walton somehow denied, might have hit the post. O'Callahan, he scores! Brian O'Callahan finally breaks through, gets his first goal of the contest. And O'Callahan finally gets one in there. It is now 14-11, and keep feeding that man. Boy, was he excited after that goal as well, showing a lot of emotion. Still plenty of time, 7:25. That was a big one, though. Again, the more you score now, the less pressure you put yourself in the end. And keeping that one goal every 2-minute pace is the goal. And they scored within 2 minutes here, so let's see if they can do it again. 7:24 left to go in this game. Again, it's a 3-goal deficit, so if you score every 2 minutes here without allowing a goal, you tie things up, and it's anybody's ball game with a minute left. Face-off, pushed forward aggressively, but Bonsignori comes away with it. Keep the momentum going. Maloney, look at him go in the midfield. He's across the 40 now with it. Maloney still has it, and now loses it. Maloney doing everything he can to find someone to get it off to. And Wittenberg coming back now defensively. And it's a bad pass from the Tigers. Good job there by the man who just scored, Kelleher, to keep that thing on Capital's side of the 50 in the Wittenberg offensive zone. At the very least, they'll be able to kill some more time off this clock. .6:30 left to go. Shot calling for it, calling out directions. He gives off to TJ Smith. Back over to the near sideline. That's TJ Smith again, behind the net for Andrew Fuss, who's had a quiet day unlike his brother, Thomas, who has 4 goals. Andrew now finds his brother, Palmby with a magnificent save. Whistles blowing everywhere. There's 2 sticks on the ground. And it's going to stay with Wittenberg after that explanation from the official, quite demonstratively in front of the cage. Six minutes left to go. It's 14-11. Fuss looping it around as they continue to work offensively. Lazy pass stolen there. I think that's Maloney again. It is. Maloney launches it, catapulting it across midfield to Kreitz, who's deking his way around, buying some time. Over to Mundell now. Wittenberg really overextended defensively right now. The Crusaders could strike. This is the time right here. They have to score this possession. It's over to Kreitz. If they score here, we'd have a 2-goal game with about 5 minutes left. OC, Walton sees his target, drops the ball though. It's poked free. Hess scoops it away. He gets decked at midfield but sends it towards Walton. Flags fly, and that'll stop the clock at 5:01, and the Crusaders have a 3-goal deficit and plenty of time now if they can score on this advantage here. We'll see how long of a play it is. There might be 2 penalties down here as well. Looks like just the one, as there's a bunch of different subs running on and off. So it's 6-on-5 with 5:01 to go. Down by 3. Let's see if the Crusaders can make this thing even more interesting. Rampy back in there as he deserves to be, taking the place of Carson Paul. Mundell ripping it to Walton. Walton, Hess shot, got knocked down, scooped up by Mundell. His shot saved. Fantastic job in net there by Blossy again. 4:48 to go. Still about 15 seconds on the advantage. Walton scores! Into the top left of the goal. Brent Walton has got himself a hat trick. Right on pace with that goal every 2 minutes. We've got 4:44 to go, and we've got a 2-goal game. .443 to go. It's down there on the ground, and it's going to be won by Wittenberg. Bonsignori slashing away at this thing. And do we have a turnover? There's a timeout called by Wittenberg before all of that ruckus down there across the field. Let's see if they're going to award that timeout. I believe they will. So it'll stay with Wittenberg. They get the timeout in time. 4:36 left to go. Coach Olin will search for an explanation, and we will be back for the conclusion of this one on the Capital Sports Network. Clock shows 4:36. We're back in play here at Bernlohr. Crusaders trying to get back in this thing. They're down by just 2. They trailed by as many as 4 in this frame. Wittenberg looking for a dagger. Crusaders looking for a stop and a quick goal the other way. TJ Smith guarded by Maloney. He's had a nice quarter defensively. Wittenberg taking their time again. Fuss throws it over to his brother, Thomas Fuss. Anthony Becker now. Becker tried a shot. Palmby scoops it up. There's the stop. Palmby now with a dangerous pass. Was that stolen? It was. Fuss takes it away. And maybe a little bit too aggressive with passing that thing away. I think Palmby could have taken his time a little bit, panicked, and it leads to a quick turnover. Still plenty of time for the Crusaders again, but they've got to get a stop. TJ Smith weaving his way through a pass that found its target. That's Brady. Brady over to Zach Sly. Shy with it again. And Shy now brings it over this side, working it to the high side of the field again. Brady. Still 3:10 to go, and they're going to start the clock. First time of the night. 25 on the shot clock. And a bad pass across midfield. OC gets it, and they're going to call Wittenberg for being too aggressive. They're pushing O'Callahan across the line. O'Callahan up to Walton. Walton's got space in front, and scores! Here we go! Brent Walton again on the find from O'Callahan. It's a 1-goal game. What a game this is turning into. 14-13. I said score every 2 minutes. That's exactly what they're doing. And another face-off won by the Crusaders. Trefethern has come up huge in this quarter. 2:42 to go. Can the Crusaders tie this thing? Kreutz working it around. Over to Walton. Walton. O'Callahan just misses wide. But there's a flag. And the Crusaders will be on the man-up opportunity. Rampy getting instructions from the coaching staff before he heads out there. Don't count out these Crusaders. This was a 14-10 game with 11 minutes left to go. Since then, Wittenberg has not scored, and the Crusaders have scored 3 times. Walton and O'Callahan bringing them back. And here we stand with 2:28 to go, and the Crusaders 1 goal away from tying this thing up. 14-13. Who would have thought we'd have a shootout like this? OC goes to work. O'Callahan to Mundell. Mundell back to Walton. Right back to Mundell. Walton at the 30. Across the 25. Drops it for Hess now. Hess to Rippey. Over to O'Callahan and a save out in front. Crusaders battling for the loose ball. It's still down there on the field. They've got it now. It's Walton. 2:06 on the clock. Walton distributing it around. It's behind the net now. O'Callahan over to Mundell. Mundell swinging fields. Kreutz! And a nice save made again. Cutting off the angle. Fantastic job. And Wittenberg will try to get across midfield as Aaron Blossy steps up and makes the save of the match. It's 1:40 left to go. Wittenberg trying to finish this thing. It's a 1-goal game, so the Crusaders don't have to overextend themselves too much. Wittenberg will call a timeout, and the Crusaders can set their defense and a plan of attack to get a turnover and have enough time to come back down to this side of the field and score. We have 1:35 to go. It's 14-13. Stay with us. .135 to go. We thank you for sticking with us here throughout the night, as it's been a fun one here. 1:35 to go. The Crusaders were down as many as 4 and have cut this thing down to just 1. Wittenberg has possession, but the Crusaders have 95 seconds to get the ball back down the field and into the cage and tie this thing up. They'll cut the music. Officials getting the final directions out to each side of the field. And we will be ready to go momentarily for the game's conclusion here. Whistles blow, we're back at it. 1:32 to go. Good pressure here in the corner. The ball's loose. Tate Stover takes it away. Here come the Crusaders. Bonsignori has Danny Needham across midfield. Needham over to Kreutz. And Crusaders will call a timeout. Coach Owen excited. The team is pumped up. We've got 1:13 left to go. Big play by Tate Stover. And Cap will try to tie when we come back. 1:13 to go. Crusaders need one to tie, and we've got a brand new ball game. Under the lights, trying to make this thing an exciting finish for a great turnout in terms of fans out below me. They're ready for something to cheer about. .112 left to go. It's Mundell with it now. Mundell swinging it around. Walton. And they're going to keep swinging it around and wait this thing out for an opportunity. Hess has it. Behind the net now, O'Callahan. O'Callahan to Mundell. Back to OC. OC out in front. They score! They tie it up! Ted Kreitz! Unbelievable! We've got a brand new ball game with 50 seconds left to go. What a finish from Ted Kreitz. And O'Callahan sets everything there. And the biggest face-off of the night, to say the least, coming up now. It's going to be Trefethern to take it against Whitehead. 49 seconds left to go. Ball is down at midfield, and the crowd is suddenly dead quiet. Trefethern battling. It's down on the ground. Nobody has it yet. Davide trying to pick it up. Still nobody with it. It's loose. Bonsignori picks it up. Oh, he pushes it off his stick, and Wittenberg gets it. Oh, a huge opportunity for the Crusaders, and the Tigers take advantage now. 20 seconds, 28 seconds, and they score! Fuss with the goal. Oh, Bonsignori had it, and he just pushed it. Wittenberg picks it up, and Fuss with a huge answer. (15-14). Wittenberg back out in front. Oh, that hurts. TJ Johnson checks in for Palmby now in goal with 26 seconds left to go. And another huge face-off coming. Crusaders need this, and then they have time. And they have a timeout left as well if Coach Olin chooses to use it once the Crusaders can establish possession. 26 seconds to go. Trefethern battling with Whitehead. It's down. Still on the turf, and it's picked up by the Tigers. Pass is loose. It's knocked down by Trefethern. Here we go. Trefethern the other way. O'Callahan has it. O'Callahan shoots. It goes over the goal. 10.6 seconds left, and a timeout called by the Crusaders. They got their steal. O'Callahan was the man you wanted with it. They got the equalizer earlier. We've got 10 seconds left. Let's see if the Crusaders can tie it in a few seconds here. 10.6 seconds left to go. The Crusaders need to tie it, and then we'll probably go to overtime with the amount of time left. Here we go. Crusaders bring it into play. It's Walton. Hess tries to shoot. It goes long. Out of bounds. It'll stay here. Just 3 seconds left. 3 seconds for O'Callahan to score. His shot is knocked down. The horn goes off, and Wittenberg gets a huge win. Oh, what a tough loss for the Crusaders. It came down to a face-off. The Tigers win the face-off, and they hang on. After scoring, it was Fuss with the game winner with 26 seconds left to go. In terms of the goal scorers, Fuss 1, Thomas Fuss had 4, Austin Brady 3, 1 for Frank Redmond, 1 for TJ Smith, 1 for Jeff Sherman, 3 for Sean Kelleher, and 1 for Zach Shy. On the other side for the Crusaders, 1 for O'Callahan. He had 5 assists. 2 goals for Kreitz, 1 for Hess, 1 for Fuller, 2 for Mundell, 1 for Paul, 1 for Rampy, 1 for Collier, and 4 for Walton. Kelleher had 3 goals and 2 assists on the other side, and Fuss had 4 goals and 2 assists. So it's a couple players with 6 points here tonight. And the big win for Wittenberg on the road, a 15-14 shootout. Didn't expect that one here this morning, I can tell you that. Wittenberg definitely wanted it to play this high scoring, and it worked into their advantage here tonight. 43 shots apiece, 12 saves for Wittenberg, 11 for Palmby, 36 ground balls, 19-14 in terms of the face-offs for Wittenberg. It was 36-29 ground ball advantage for Cap. Clearances 13-19 for Cap with 18 turnovers. That was the big one. Wittenberg had 9 penalties, 15-16 on their clearance with 15 turnovers. So far from a clean game on both sides, but Wittenberg had enough in the end, making that last play there in the last minute on a goal that was actually credited to Redmond as opposed to Fuss. There was a couple of chances there at the end for the Crusaders, but they came up just a bit short. You have to give them credit for battling all night, though. Down 14-10, they came back and tied this thing up, and it's going to be a tough loss, but a loss you can grow from. Crusaders see their 4-game win streak snapped here now. They fall to 5-2 on the season. Wittenberg improves to 3-2. Up next for your Crusaders, they head on the road to face Olivet on the 19th. They get the Wednesday off, and then they will be back here at Bernlor 1 o'clock on March 26th. I'll see you then for a 12:45 pregame, and then the game starting up again at 1 o'clock. There will be one more non-conference game on the road, and then Saturday, April 9th is your home opener and conference play, I should say, and the conference opener itself. Baldwin-Wallace, Ohio Northern, 2 home games to start off the conference slate for the Crusaders. And pretty much the season starts there for this team here. And they're just getting ready for it. And you can tell them that all you want, but you can see the Crusaders kind of just walking around out there right now, a little bit devastated with that last loss. As far as our next broadcast, again, we will not be broadcasting, but we'll be hosting the women's national semifinal for women's college basketball at D3 level. So come out this weekend to Bernlor if you want to catch some of the action. Defending champs Thomas More trying to go perfect and repeat. They are 2 wins away from doing so. They've got a tough matchup coming up in the Final Four. So that's definitely a headline to watch. In terms of your next broadcast to tune in on the Capital Sports Network, that's going to be a week from today on the 23rd, when the women will face off with Kenyon. Those 2 teams faced on the men's side. Kenyon won earlier this season, and Capital will try to avenge that loss and stay hot on the season. Kara Hines is playing as good as ever, and we'll see if she can keep it going. Kenyon just had a huge win against Ohio Northern, 18-5, I believe the final of that one was. So Kenyon will be coming up here riding high as well. Should be a really fun matchup between those 2 teams. We'll be here at 7 for the start of that one. Pre-game will start at 6:45, just like tonight. I'll catch up with Coach Wood before the game for your pre-game interview, and then we'll get things going. and around 7. Thanks for tuning in. It was a fun one, as we promised here today. And let's hope the Crusaders can grow from this one and continue to push forward. We'll see them in action again next at Bernlohr. It'll be a couple of weeks, and hopefully a couple of victories they'll bring back from the road. Thanks for tuning in. My name's Jimmy Bloomfield. Thank you for listening to the Capital Sports Connection. Have a good night, everybody.